Hello, 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 and welcome back. I'm excited to have this conversation with you about 7 ways to keep sane during election season. Because if there's anything right now that is true, is that because of technology becoming more and more prevalent in our society and in the way we live, these last couple election terms and seasons have been a little more testy than usual. And there's something to that in a way as well. And we have to learn how to adapt to the shifting technology. We have to learn more about taking care of ourselves, learning when to take a break. And while we've become really conditioned to technology and have become really dependent on our phones, on our computers, off of social media or on social media, this is a time where we have to continue to stay in our path and in our lane, and to stay focused as to why we're really here. I'm going to be talking more about 3D to 5D in that journey coming up on my YouTube channel next week. But in the meantime, I really want to talk a lot more about how we keep sanity during this election season, because this is part of the 2020 crystal vision that we are having to really come through and navigate through and really, the best way to say it is find what works for us and what doesn't, because the veil is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. So beyond the election, the way that I would really say to keep sane during this time is to make sure that above all else that you're choosing to stay on the higher timeline. This means to not get consumed in the fear. This means to not get consumed in pigeonholing or the noise, right? We need to practice discernment on what feels true to us and what doesn't, because each of us, we're all having different perspectives and perceptions of what's actually happening due to our experience. If there's still a lot of unprocessed trauma, emotions, and fears that have been running the show that have been either ancestral, inner child, or from those societal conditionings, it's going to be harder for us to be in our sovereign embodiment. And this is why I'm offering, and I heard from my guides, to make Thrive at a go at your own pace. This is an 8-chapter experience that is really going to help you go from surviving to thriving. This is about you really clearing out the debris of what isn't yours that you've been carrying on. And how can we go ahead and really transcend? How can we really go ahead and actualize the life, the business, the relationships we desire most? So if you want, you can check out in the show notes below the link to experience Thrive. It's going to be either 2 monthly payments of $222 or 1 pay in full of $397. And with that, on 11/10, so about the week after the election, I'm going to host a bonus group coaching call for anyone who embarks on the self path or the self-study experience of Thrive. If you want to learn more, you can also check out sabrinariccio.com/thrive. But I'm just doing my best to give you all the resources and tools, because we're going into a lot of uncharted territories, both incredible and challenging. But those challenges that are going to be coming up are all coming up to the surface to be healed and transmuted so that we can really reclaim our power back. And this is especially so when it comes to our democracy, because a lot of it has been infiltrated by corporate greed, which has, as a result, created this conditioning around society, around money, and having such a negative context around money when we can use our money for the greater good. And this is part of how we're finding financial liberation and really healing our relationship with money. So these are massive things that are unfolding right now. So before I dove in, I just really wanted to make that clear, that this is the time for you to really step into your sovereignty, to really embody the life that you want, your truth. And we can do that as we're going through this really testy time we're calling election season. So the first step that I would really suggest for you to really keep sane during this election season would be to really know when to take social media sabbaticals. I can tell you, as someone who's taken these and has shared my experience on previous episodes of the Sovereign Society podcast, who has seen the importance of deleting those apps off of your phone and being in your own lane, it's critical more than ever that you know when to take a break from social media. And there's a lot of noise out there, right? There's a lot of deception or agendas, and they're triggering the ones that are most out of alignment, the ones that are most in their pain, the ones that they're most in their head and not in their heart, listening to their intuition, navigating through these changing times and this evolutionary process, because each of us is here on our ascension journey. And next week on my YouTube, I'm going to be talking more about the journey from 3D to 5D. And this is just part of the process that we're really navigating through right now. So please take some time away from social media. And I mean, here, you're either listening to this podcast or watching the video of it, but it's really important to really be in your energy every once in a while, like your own energy, staying in your own lane and not being bombarded with a lot of information on social media, because we're absorbing all of that technology, all of that energy, the radiation, all of it. So please give yourself permission to take time away from social media and to just be present, because when you're present and not so focused on the fear or whatever, you can stay in your own lane and you can listen to what it is you really need. The second way I would say to really make the most of this election season and to keep sane is to really tighten those loose ends with your business. As I shared recently about us being in Mars retrograde and now being in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, this is the perfect time to do all of your reevaluating, your reassessing, your realignment to see how you can really be of service. If there's been things that have been going on with this election season that have been really, really triggering you or like fueling you, this is the time to use your platforms, to your voice, your business, to be part of the change. What a concept. We have an invitation, and this is literally the initiation for us to cultivate more conscious business, for us to create more ethical brands that are focusing not just on materialism, which can be part of that 3D mindset, but more so the legacy we're going to be leaving behind. What is the greater mission that we're here to fulfill? How are we choosing to make a difference? If there's things that are going on that have been shown in this election season and in this period and in our democracy, how are you using your platform to actually make that difference? How are you choosing to actually show up? And these are the things we need to really focus on and hone in on and start getting our ducks in a row and really taking initiative to get everything really squared away and set off. Mars is that action planet. It's so much of that divine masculine. And because our society has been so much in that toxic masculinity and we're purging out the last of that, purging out the last of the Piscean age, going into the Aquarian age, we have to really just take it one step at a time, really slow down, which is so against the societal conditioning we've been brought up of go, go, go. It's also very much of the mindset of the immigrant mindset. I know that's what I had to grow up with, was always work, work, work. But there is that time where we have to also listen and hone in and take time for ourselves to why we're here. And how can we implement that and share that through our business? The next thing I would say to keep sane is to turn the news off for a bit. I know for me, especially during the primaries, like my whole YouTube subscriptions, they were all news. And it was all, of course, independent media, but it was still a lot. It was really hard to focus on myself, focus on my business, focus on what was in front of me, because I got so consumed into the news. And a lot of the fear that was being shared. And yes, there's a fine line between information and like overbearing of that fear. But we have to also know when to take a break. We have to also know when to take that time out, when enough is enough. And so we as a society are still learning this concept called boundaries. We weren't taught these things. We weren't taught about boundaries. We weren't taught about how to take care of ourselves, how to nourish ourselves. And we have to know when is too much too much. So what I would really invite for you to take action on, check your subscription feed, check your news feed, check who you follow on social media, and see if it actually feels good and if it's expansive, or if you feel like it's part of a fear or just too much. And release the accounts that really don't align anymore, and start following things that inspire you, that fuel you, that want you to be better and do better. And these are the things that we need to really focus more of our energy. Not, of course, it's important to be aware of what's going on, but to be overconsumed about what's going on. Kayate, just take a deep breath, chill out, and breathe. The next step I would say also to really keep sane is to catch up with an old friend. So maybe that means, I know it's hard with like quarantine, there's still a lot of people in that fear about seeing people or what have you, but maybe it's you schedule a time with an old friend and you do like a FaceTime date, or you do like a tea date. Maybe you help the postal service and buy some stamps and go old school and send some beautiful letters to some friends. I think more than ever, because as we're continuing to purge out the last of the Piscean age and enter into the Aquarian age, we have to remember that this time is about community and collaboration. And so we are purging out the lone wolf. We are purging out the idea or the concept that we're navigating through this journey alone. Of course, there's a time of being in your own solitude and like being that hermit, like that 9 card in the tarot. I say that because I'm a 9, so I'm very connected to that hermit. But we have to also know that we are going through this journey of self-healing, but it doesn't have to be by ourselves. Like, we have community around us that are here to support us. And so please give yourself permission to catch up with an old friend. And if you do, of course, meet in person, do it responsibly. And remember that with what's going on, you cannot have it overconsume your life. You have to continue to live your life. What a concept, right? Live your life. But these are the things we need to really start thinking about. These are the things that we need to really start implementing more of if we want to be in our sovereignty. This is about sovereign embodiment. How are we going to stay in our own center and do more and tap into more of what feels expansive? And community and friendship is a huge part of that. So make sure you catch up with your old friends. The next step I would really say is get creative and make a vision board of what it is you want to create. Something that's been calling me more so too, more than just creating that vision board of old magazines or whatever, or creating that Pinterest board, but start dressing candles. I've been doing a lot of candle magic, and as I continue to get more and more into this, it's been really powerful to see how the different colors of different candles and just creating that intention. And it's something that's so ancestral to me. It's been such a huge part of my healing in a way of just cultivating that time of devotion. And so start to really hone in on what is the life you want to see post-election. What is the life you want to see the rest of 2020? What's the life you're really calling in, and make and take initiative for the intention to really actualize it and hone in on that energy. What does that feel like? What does life feel like where there is peace and liberty and justice and equality? Hone in on what it is you want to create. You are co-creating this reality. Please do not feel victimized to what's happening, because you're not here to be a victim. You're here to be victorious. You know this. Come on. So take time to cultivate a ceremony of that vision board, maybe of pulling tarot, maybe of releasing things in your house that don't serve anymore. These are a lot of things that we can do to vibrationally shift and surround ourselves with things that light us up and fuel us, rather than the things that we're just holding on to out of scarcity, out of fear. The most important thing that you can do to keep sane during this election season: get into nature. What a concept. I mean, to me, I do feel like the planet is shifting. And I don't remember who I heard it from, but she's shifting from Mama Gaia to Grandmother Gaia. And there's so much wisdom on this planet right now. And as we continue to evolve and ascend into this 5D unity consciousness, it's a vibration, not a place. As we continue to anchor in more of the Christ codes, the Christ consciousness, the pure Hieros Gamos within, of the divine masculine, the divine feminine, something I teach and thrive, we have to understand that nature is always here for us, and it's always communicating with us. And there's no accident as to why you're here during this wild time right now. And you have all the resources you need to navigate through it. Like we said, call your friends, connect with nature, really hone in with you. These are the elements that are going to help you expand and to really find that centerness. Go on a road trip and explore. See things you haven't seen before. And go into uncharted territory of land and places that you haven't seen, and to feel inspired. And of course, do it responsibly. But the bigger thing here is there's so much vastness in this world. And if we stay confined in our four walls, if we stay confined in our heads, we're missing the real reason as to why we came here during this human experience. And so remember to eat healthy, just be more present, and breathe in the blessings nature has for all of us, especially you who's out here unleashing their medicine with the world. The last big thing I would remind you to really hone in on is to please remember to have fun, because that is going to create a vibration and a radiance that's going to trickle out into the ethers, into your relationships, into your community. And so if you're getting constantly consumed in the fear, in the doubt, in the worrisome, in the insecurity, and just like all of the noise, look at it and choose again. Honor the circumstances of what's happening and the situations, but do what fills you up. And when you're coming from that space of wholeness and from that space of overflow, your success is inevitable, and people, the experiences, the business, the opportunities, you'll begin to magnetize what it is, because this 2020 is a 4-year. It's a year of neutrality. And so you need to recognize both sides of the coin to see that it's a coin, and to choose the path that is in alignment, that is yours, that is centered in your truth, in your Sat Nam, in your highest embodiment. And this is what these times are really about. How can you stay in your own lane and be part of the solution rather than constantly feed the problem? Focus on choosing to lead, choosing to show up, and being embodied in your truth. So to close out this little source of inspiration to keep going and to stay positive, and to also honor what arises when things come up, because again, we're purging out the last of the Piscean age, I did want to pull a card from my girl Danielle Noel, who created this deck for Rebecca Campbell of the Starseed Oracle. This is one of my favorite decks to really connect with and to really feel into when I'm like going through it, or when I'm on and really aligned to my 5D self to really accelerate. Deep cellular healing, Arcturus healing, physical and emotional healing. So I just really want you, what I'm feeling from all of this is that we are purging out a lot in 2020, right? I talked about this in the Mars retrograde video. We're doing this deep cellular healing of releasing what no longer serves. And this is why 2020 has been so testy and challenging is because it's been the invitation for us to release what doesn't serve so we can go into this new decade so that our kids don't have to go through this bullshit, right? We are saying it ends with me. And I love that it's a Black woman on here, because I have so many of my beautiful sisters and brothers that are Black that are speaking up and doing incredible work. And we need to continue to highlight and to focus on these voices of people that are being courageous to speak up and to demand justice and change. So all in all, from this whole experience, I just invite you to do you. I invite you to honor what you need to fill up your cup. You have total permission to say no thank you, total permission to say I need a break, total permission to say I need help. And if you've been looking for that, you don't need me to tell you, but if you've been looking for that, it's there for you. People have your back. People are here supporting you, and we're not in this alone. So just please nourish yourself. Take care of what you need. And I would love to hear below. I would love to hear on Instagram, on YouTube. What are you doing to keep sane? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you nourishing yourself during these times? Because yes, it is testy, and we can get through this when we come together. And so just remember, this is what this Aquarian Age is about. It's about collaboration and community. And just please remember, babe, the lone wolf days are over. And so next week on the podcast, I'm going to be talking deeper about the journey from 3D to 5D, because I know it's been a hot topic of a lot of what people are asking about. And it's really important for us to navigate through this journey together and to know that you were made for this and you've got this. So I'm excited to continue to connect with you all. I'm excited to continue to share more of the truth and the wisdom. And just please remember, we got this, and justice will prevail. The light always wins. And we're just purging out the last of what no longer serves. So thanks for being here, and we'll be seeing you next time. Take care. Satnam.